Okay, this is the heart, and we'll run through the terms that are on your list of things to know. The outside of the heart is covered in what is called the pericardial sac. That is not shown in this view. And the pericardial sac is simply a protective, tough fibrous tissue around the heart to keep it protected and separated from the lungs, and also to produce some mucus for friction-free environment. Around the outermost part of the heart, which is again is not shown really on plastic bottles, called the epicardium. It's a thin serous membrane layer that secretes the mucus to keep the friction down. The heart muscle itself is called the myocardium. That's represented here by the thicker walls, and that is cardiac muscle. Inside the heart, there's another serous membrane, very thin, one cell layer thick, that isn't shown on a model, called the endocardium. The endocardium is a non-wettable, smooth surface to keep the blood flowing friction-free. The parts of the heart, the heart is a four-chambered structure. The two chambers on top, represented here and up here, are called atria, or articles. They are, I guess we don't need to get into the flow of the blood, but they receive the blood from the vena cava or the pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein. The lower chambers are called ventricles. They are further designated by right and left. So we have the right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Separating these are the ventricular septum, which is the part of the myocardium that runs through the middle, separating those, the right and left sides of the heart. The vena cava, which would be here, runs into the right atrium, and then there's an opening from the right atrium into the right ventricle. This opening through which the blood flows can be closed by a structure called the tricuspid valve. This is a flap of tissue that can billowed up somewhat like a parachute. It is tied down by some tiny cords, tendons, if you will, called the chordae tendineae, that hold it in place and keep it from flapping through. The chordae tendineae attach to the myocardium at some thickened areas called the papillary muscles that can literally relax or tighten up, pulling the chordae tendineae tighter as needs go with the blood pressure changes. The blood leaves the right ventricle out of an opening up in the back part and goes into the pulmonary artery, leading away from the heart to the lungs, and I can't really show you that very well. Oh, here, it's on this cutaway part right there. As the blood flows into the pulmonary artery, taking it to the lungs, the pulmonary artery stretches, and the blood could reflux back in. So there's a special kind of valve, different from the tricuspid valve, right in here. It's made of about 3 shirt pocket kinds of structures. I call them shirt pockets because when you push up, it pushes the pocket closed, and when the blood tries to fall back down, it billows closed and shuts off the opening. The blood then returns to the heart, to the left atrium, through the pulmonary arteries. There's 5 different pulmonary arteries coming into the left atrium. Again, the atrium is to just simply hold an adequate volume of blood, and then the blood flows into the left ventricle. Once again, you have a cuspid valve, but this time, instead of having 3 cusps, there's only 2. And so this is known as the bicuspid valve. In medical field, they seldom use the term bicuspid valve. They usually call it the mitral valve. It's the same thing. The bicuspid or mitral valve also has chordae tendineae and also has papillary muscles. The blood leaves the left ventricle through the aorta, which is opening up in here. It also has semilunar valves, similar to shirt pocket valves, just as the same as a pulmonary vein did, pulmonary artery did. And then the aorta comes up and loops over the top.